So today, we're going to dive into a really powerful and honestly kind of counterintuitive idea. What if the one thing you think is holding you back is actually your greatest strength?
Right off the bat, let's just challenge that core belief. Everyone tells you that you need deep pockets, a ton of venture capital, a huge loan to make it big. But what if that's not just wrong, but completely backwards?
And yeah, this is the guy who built an entire empire on that very idea. Daymond John, the founder of FUBU. You know him from Shark Tank. He has this philosophy that just flips everything we think we know about success right on its head. And this quote, it's the key to everything.
So let's just reframe this for a second. Instead of seeing it as a limitation, what if having no money is the very thing that forces you to be more creative, more determined, and way more resourceful than someone with a blank check? What if being broke is actually the ultimate competitive advantage?
All right, so to really get this, we've got to define what the power of broke actually means. It's not about celebrating being poor, not at all. It's about harnessing a very specific, very powerful kind of mindset.
See, it's all about mindset. It's about being hungry. When you don't have a safety net, you are forced to innovate, to hustle, and to connect with your customers in a real, authentic way. From a psychological standpoint, having limits actually creates clarity. It makes you focus only on what truly, absolutely matters. Turns out, desperation is the mother of all invention, right?
Okay, now look at this, because this is where it gets really interesting. On the left, you've got the broke mindset. It's all about substance, being scrappy, making real connections. But then look at the right. Having too much money too soon can create this false sense of security. It leads to spending on flashy stuff instead of what matters, making bad decisions, and feeling this insane pressure to grow at a pace that's just not sustainable. Bigger money early on can often mean much, much bigger mistakes.
Okay, so that's the theory. Sounds good, right? But does it actually work in the real world? Let's look at some stories that absolutely prove it does.
And who better to start with than the guy who literally wrote the book on it? Daymond John's journey didn't start in some fancy boardroom. Nope, it started on the streets of Hollis, Queens, with a $40 budget and an idea.
And this is just a brilliant example of the mindset in action. He couldn't afford a massive ad campaign, so what'd he do? He got his clothes on dancers and music videos. He hit the streets, selling hats and shirts himself, building a following from the ground up. He used creativity and pure hustle instead of cash, and he turned that initial $40 into a $6 billion global brand. It's incredible.
And it's not just Daymond. Take Gigi Butler. She didn't just get a huge loan to start her cupcake empire. She bootstrapped the whole thing, using the money she earned from our cleaning business to fund her dream, one cupcake at a time. That's the power of broke, leveraging what you have right now to get what you want later.
And hey, age is no barrier either. Mosiah Bridges started Mo's Bows when he was just a kid. He didn't have capital, he had a passion for fashion and his family's support. He built a national brand on just pure, unfiltered adoration for what he does.
Now, these stories, they might feel like 1 in a million shots, right? Like these are just the exceptions. But check out this number.
That's right. According to the studies Daymond talks about, 68% of entrepreneurs started with absolutely nothing. This isn't the exception to the rule. For the vast majority of successful people, it is the rule. The path to success is paved with resourcefulness, not with riches.
So, we've seen how this works for startups, for the little guy. But what happens when you're a massive corporation? Does the power of broke still apply?
It's a totally fair question. I mean, when you have billion-dollar budgets, is it really any advantage to thinking small and scrappy? The answer is a massive yes.
Okay, check out this incredible case study. Inside this corporate giant, General Mills, the Nature Valley brand was basically failing. So what they do? They gave a young manager a tiny, broke budget to try and save it. He couldn't afford TV ads or anything flashy, so he went grassroots. He literally went out and gave samples to people at ski resorts and in parks, exactly where his target audience was. That simple, low-cost strategy forced a level of focus and a direct customer connection that big budgets often just get in the way of, and it turned the brand into an absolute powerhouse.
And this just nails it, right? The best ideas, the real innovations, they often come from the people closest to the ground, the ones who are hungry and have to be creative. Big companies can actually thrive by remembering those startup roots and empowering that kind of bottom-up thinking.
All right, we've defined the concept, we've seen the proof. Now for the most important part, how does this apply to you? Let's get into your actionable takeaways.
Whether you're trying to start a business, you're leading a team, or you're just trying to get a project off the ground, How do you actually use this mindset as your secret weapon?
Well, Daymond John boils it all down to these 5 super memorable points. He calls them the shark points. First, S is for set a goal. You have to define your vision with crystal clarity. H is for homework. Do the research, understand your market, your competition, know it inside and out. A is for adore what you do. That passion is the fuel that's going to get you through the tough times. R is for remember, you are the brand. Your integrity, your reputation, it's everything. And finally, and this one is so important, K is for keep swimming. You just have to be relentless.
Let's just let this one sink in for a second. The difference between success and failure, so often, it just comes down to one thing: persistence. It's the entrepreneurs who embrace that struggle, who harness that hunger, the ones who simply refuse to quit. They're the ones who win in the end.
So I'm going to leave you with the same idea we started with. I want you to take a hard look at what you see as your limitations, your lack of money, connections, resources, whatever it is, and just ask yourself, what if you've been looking at it all wrong? What if that's not your weakness, but the very source of your power?